Hey all, welcome to the next blending mode lesson at Hummy's World. And as I've said at the beginning of many of these lessons, if you're just stumbling upon this video, please go to www.hummysworld.com and find the class guide to work from the beginning of all the lessons, because we've kind of gone in order and built up on our skills. This particular lesson is a technique lesson with the blending modes, and this is on creating brushes and using them with the blending modes to make your image pretty cool and awesome. And so let's go ahead and go back to my beginning. And here's my beginning image, and I added some text, and I want to show you with each of these lessons now we have a download of a texture, and you can work with this one in this image if you want, or you can work with any of them, anything that you want to do, adding the previous textures that I've shared with you to download. And here is the texture I'm giving you with this lesson. And this is kind of probably the bottom of the line. I've told you at the beginning some were yummy and some were not, but we could make something with all of the textures. And so maybe you'll be able to do something fun with this one. I haven't quite, made it work. It just doesn't quite, I mean, even if I can get something with the heart showing through, I even thought it'd be kind of cool. I mean, that's a little bit cool with the color dodge. If you can get something kind of cool to work with this, go for it. I mean, the overlay isn't bad. I mean, you can see the heart, and so you could probably make something out of it. But I decided, since I didn't really like this one a whole lot, it wasn't very useful, that we were going to make brushes out of it, because it does have some yummy stuff in it. I mean, I really like this little paint splatter over here. Now that's kind of yummy stuff. All that paint splatter in there and up here is kind of yummy. And even, ooh, look at the cracks in there. You gotta zoom in. Look at the cracks. That would make a yummy brush right there. So let's make a yummy brush. And it's as simple as you can get whatever shape you want. If you want to get the rectangular or the elliptical marquee tool, or if you want to get the polygonal lasso tool, whatever kind of shape you want. We're just going to do the very basic bust just to get everybody started. And so I'm making a selection of this area that's got that crackle stuff in there. I'm going to go to Edit, Define Brush, and I can name it if I want, but I just let it name itself, and then Control D to deselect. Okay, so now I've made my brush, and I'm going to make this layer invisible, and I'll show you what I did. Here is the layer I made, and I just used the brush in there to kind of bring out and lighten the sky. And so to do that, we're going to create a new layer, go to our brush tool, scroll down all the way down to the bottom, and here's our last brush we made. And you can make it larger or smaller, and you can play with any of the brush effects. If you need help, I do have tutorials on making brushes and even making grunge brushes for design and things like that. So you can watch some of the other videos at Hummy's World. And then I think I used the overlay. Let's see what I used. Yes, the overlay. Here's my new layer I'm playing with. I had to go peek at what I did before. And let's see, I used white because I wanted to lighten it. And then I just kind of click down in here to you know, lighten the sky area. Of course, I took a little bit more time with the last one, and I think my brush was thinner. And then, you know, just lower the opacity. Now I might want to go get my eraser tool and go find that exact same brush maybe and lower the opacity and kind of get rid of some of these, you know, harsh edges that I got going on in this particular brush because I made it so fast. There. Looks, see, you can see right there that grungy, crackly texture that it put in there. But here's the before and the after. So you can see you can use brushes like this with the overlay and white to kind of lighten certain areas. Now if it's too much, I can lighten it a little bit more on the opacity. And there's the before and the after. And I can maybe come up in here and put some light in other places. I'm not really seeing it. Oh, that's because I'm using the eraser brush. Duh. Okay. No wonder I wasn't seeing it. So we're going to go in here and lighten it some more. Too much. Let's lower it. Go back and get my eraser brush and, you know, grungy it up a little bit around the edges so I don't have those straight lines. Of course, there's other ways to make brushes so you don't have those lines. But you can see before and after how I just took certain areas and I lightened it up. I'm going to go ahead and delete that layer and show you my version that I took the time to make before and after. Then I made this, you see, around the edges. So I actually went and created another brush, and this one has a darker color, and I used, I don't even remember now what kind of brush I used, but so let's go back and let's just do something, create another, you know, this over here might be yummy. And I think when I did this edge brush, I actually went in and out, kind of random zigzag, because the, oops, because the outer edges of your brush are not going to be, you know, straight and even normally. Your brushes are going to have some sort of random texture to them. And so edit and define brush, and now I have another brush, so you can just keep getting different areas of the image. And now I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. I got this gray here. Actually, I think I went and I got a blue out of my image for the edges. Go back to my brush tool, go get my brand new brush, and just begin. Yeah, I'm going to undo. I'm going to make this brush a little bigger. There we go. That looks kind of cool. And change it. I don't remember what blending mode I had. Ooh, not that one. Color burn, overlay. You just kind of play with it until you get something. Here, soft light looks pretty good. But you can see how it looks on the edge there. Don't ask me every time I play with the brushes. Let's go get the brush, and I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and go ahead and do some of the work up here. So every time I do stuff with the brushes, it comes out totally different. You can't, it's really hard to replicate it. There's screen, and I'm going to lower it. That's kind of cool. That might, but I'm going to delete this because I'm getting way too many layers and show you my original. I don't know how, somehow I managed to get that, because if you, I use darker color. Here's the normal. It's got, looks like it's got black and white brush strokes in it, and then I chose darker color and it kind of streaked it like this over here. And so that's how I achieved that. Did it totally by accident. Adding light white and gray in there is how I managed to get that one, and then use the darker color. And I think in the darker color, the whites make no difference if we remember back to our beginning lessons. So that's why that kind of worked and grunged it up like that. Okay, then I had to do something else, and I come up with this layer, and I thought it was pretty cool. And if I can remember how I made it, let's go back. And I actually went and I got a huge area. Actually, I think I went back and got this area in here, about like that. I really don't remember. Edit, define brush. Let's just see what we can make. Maybe I'll make something I like better. New layer, and go get my brush, which is a rather large one. Blue is, I think, what I used, and then I made the brush so it was a little bit larger than the whole image, and I just clicked down several times. Actually, I think I made it even, oops, no. I'm trying to hit Control Z. Actually, I think I made it real large as I could go. And I had more of a square brush, and I only hit on it twice, I think. And then I have no idea what blending mode I used. We'll have to go back and look. But you can see how that made for some cool textures in there, cycling through the blending modes. So let's delete that and look at the one I made. And so this one that I made, I only hit down the brush twice. I made it very large. Is on darker color at 100% opacity. Normal looks like this. I may have used, see, you can't remember, and I only made this a half hour ago. I may have went ahead and, oh, I know what I did. I lowered the opacity of my brush before I clicked down. That's what I did to get that there. And so that ended up being my final image, but let me take away a few of these and show you some of my other playing. I made this, and it had the streaks down in it, and I kept thinking that was cool, but I didn't quite like it, but I liked it. And that one has a color dodge blending mode on it. Then I made one, and I converted it to a pink, and I thought because of my phrase being girly, maybe I'd have pink clouds, and then I didn't really like it. Here was my epic failure. It looks like I used the elliptical marquee tool, the round one, and made a round brush and made the brush really huge so I would cover it up. And yeah, that turned into, if you're going after the planet look and stars, that works. It didn't work for me. Here's one that was kind of cool. I made a brush, and I actually brushed, let's see, there's what the layer looks like. And I actually made a brush, and then I changed the flow of it and drug it across, and I made that, and so I thought that looked pretty cool. And then I changed it to the screen blending mode and 30%, and kind of got this, and I almost went with that. I thought that looks kind of cool, you know, with my edges. Might even work with this. I just decided I liked the original colors. So, and here's another one I made, edges, just playing around. And this one, ooh, it has the divide. That's cheating because Photoshop Elements people don't have that one. But probably screen works. That works very much similar. So you can see, yeah, that screen actually looks pretty good with that one. A little bit of edge around it. So you can see I tried different techniques for edges, different techniques to maybe fill texture on the whole thing. I tried changing the colors, working with lines and edges, and then like this one, I used it to totally change and lighten. And so whatever you do with your image, always save. Whatever you do with your image, it's going to be different than what I'm doing with mine, because your images may be totally, well, certainly it'll be totally different with, maybe a landscape or maybe an object or maybe around a person. And feel free to bring in some of the other textures from previous lessons and use them, but just give us your recipe, what you did. Show us mine would only be these layers down here. Show us your palette and tell us what you did. And so your lesson is to, here I am trying to close and I'm not done. Let me go back and show you one more thing. This one here. Take and duplicate your layer, your texture layer. Go down and do a new adjustment layer for, I think it is threshold, yes. And then change your threshold until you get whatever you want. I mean, if you want just a little bit of grungy all the way down here, those little bitty spots work well. If you want to bring in a little bit more and select them from a different area, let's just go way down. Because you can get some good stuff up in here. We're going to go all the way down. And then right click and merge it down. And then we end up with this. And you can actually, go and select just this much of an area. And now that it's all black and white, you just get grunge for your brush. Good grunge. If you wanted to, you could Control I. Oops. I just Controlled I just that one spot. Control I and it would change the whole thing. And so now you're getting some grunginess for just with the black instead of the white. You can select any little area you want because it's got a couple little humps in it. This area right here, this would make a fine grunge brush right down in here. So that is something else you can do to make some grunge brushes out of it. So I want to see what you do with yours. Give us your recipe. Use any textures that you've downloaded in this class thus far. If you want to add even more textures, that's fine. Just tell us what you did, and your object of this lesson is to create some brushes with the textures and use them on your image.